So we are live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook world.
Hey, Facebookers.
I'm Jeff with Epic Mortgage, and this is Rob with American Associates. So we're gonna talk about VA loans and veterans buying real estate today. So quick intros. We'll let Rob go first. Rob, introduce yourself and what you do, man.
I'm Rob Reese from American Associates, he said, part of the veteran team over there. I'm also the Director of Government Affairs with the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals here in the Mid-Michigan chapter. I'm an Air Force veteran. I served 9 years, 6 years active, 3 years Air National Guard. Went into the service, delayed entry shortly after September 11th, went into basic in March of 2002. And I've been traveling around the world in various roles and gigs, and I'm back home in mid-Michigan to help solve real estate issues and challenges.
Awesome. And I'm Jeff Tuffer with Epic Mortgage Group, and we are here to basically serve the community and with some options that they might not have other places, and give the best service and solutions that they can find. We have been known for getting stuff done that other people can't get done, so we have a lot of options like that. But today we want to talk about homes that we can help veterans get into.
Right.
Rob and I actually recently did a veteran seminar, and that was pretty good. But it just showed us that a lot of people don't know their benefits as a veteran. Just a quick question, Rob: why is it important for you to deal with veterans? Like, why do you want to help them so much?
Well, obviously, I'm very passionate about my fellow service members, not only the Air Force across all of our sister branches, including you coasties out there, but a couple of key pieces of information that really stands out to me is according to a 2016 survey done by the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals, 65% of vets said that they did not think they could ever own a home. I find that problematic. That's an issue. That's obvious on the north side of 50. We'd like to have that somewhere close to 10% or lower. Additionally, 95% said they did not receive any housing counseling and VA loan education while serving in post-separation. And that takes me into my third bullet. Another 95% said that they wanted follow-up home buying counseling services and education. So there's obviously a huge gap there that we need to fill. And I think that's it's a mission of mine. I think it's a mission of yours, and it's an important cause.
Yeah, it's definitely important because veterans serve us would go like you did. You went overseas. I didn't go overseas, so you were in my place. Protecting our borders and our interests overseas, and always being ready to heed the call. So it's important because veterans. I mean, our country should do everything they can to make the the veterans get the most they can, because it's they're giving up years of your life. How many years were you in?
I was in 9 total.
So that all 9 years they told you where to go and where to live and where to be, and
yeah, I mean,
if they said go to Arizona, you went to Arizona. Go to Georgia, you went to Georgia. That kind of thing.
Yeah, you fall in line.
So you're basically giving up a lot of quote unquote rights and part of your life just to serve others. That's pretty
privileges. We exchange privileges to accomplish the goals and agendas of the United States of America.
Awesome.
At home and abroad.
So that's important to both of us. So just a couple quick things we want to talk about before we get into some questions, if we have anyone out there answering questions or asking questions that we can answer. But basically the biggest benefit to buying a home as a veteran is the biggest benefit available is the VA loan.
I would say that's one of the largest out there.
So the VA loan, just to give you guys a quick background, that's what we do those here. We do a lot. We close them quick. A lot of agents are scared of them because they, don't understand. They think that it's a much tougher deal. It's really not, but it's a zero down loan. So you come to the table with just your closing costs and prepaids, no money down. When we talk about down payment, a lot of people hear zero down, they think zero money out of pocket. But the problem with that is there's costs. So zero down means you're not purchasing any equity. You're not putting down any money so that you owe less right out of the gate than you're buying the house for. But there are still costs. But it's zero down, and they're actually very flexible with past credit issues too. I know a lot of people think that anybody can buy VA that's a veteran no matter what their credit is. That's not exactly true, but it is an easier door to walk through than another program like a conventional or an FHA or a VA. So you can get into a VA loan with past bankruptcies and foreclosures and different things after a shorter amount of time than a lot of other programs. So zero down is the biggest thing, and it's really, there's no monthly mortgage insurance.
Yeah,
as you know.
in addition to that, yeah, to piggyback on it, no PMI, which is, valuable. Your other government loan products are going to have mortgage insurance in some capacity, and the 1% origination fee.
Yeah, so the PMI that you have in FHA and rural development they charge you up front and monthly. They roll it in up front, but it's still added to your loan. VA does add an upfront fee to your loan. That's the coverage to pay for their program, but they're not charging you monthly. So that $70, $80, $100 a month that some people are paying to have a mortgage, just basically it's almost like interest. You're throwing that money away. You're paying it to be in the program. That's how they keep the program alive. But for you, beyond that, there's no additional benefit. It's not like insurance where you have insurance. It's really insurance for the lender to be protected against a foreclosure. So that's basically money that doesn't help you, and you don't have to pay that on a VA loan. So that's pretty exciting.
Right.
Keeps
And
your
I
payment
think
down.
we could all use an additional $60, $70, $80 in our pocket, regardless of your
Exactly.
socioeconomic status. So.
Well, I'll take that. We'll take that. All right. So, Rob, let me ask you: when looking for a home for vets, what are you looking for?
What am I looking for? I'm looking for a product that's going to meet the appraisal and inspection period that's inevitable. That's a two-sided coin. You've got the actual inspector from the VA, and then you have the appraiser.
So and I want to mention on that too, the FHA and rural development use the same rules as far as what qualifications, or I should say the quality of the house, condition of the house, and it's mostly safety issues. VA uses basically, it's their own set of rules, but it's basically the same. Okay, so with VA, you're going to have the same kind of things. They don't want to see exposed electrical wires. They don't want to see broken windows, just dangerous stuff. One thing that FHA is known for is peeling and chipping paint. That can be mentioned by a VA appraiser. What we got to remember is that some of these appraisers do multiple programs, so sometimes they let those bleed into each other.
Right.
And one appraiser might ask for something that someone doesn't, but that's something that Rob looks for sure, is to make sure there's no safety hazards or anything like that. And then one thing that VA, I don't know if you have seen this, but a lot of times they actually mention their guideline, like the water flow away from the house. So I've had them
grading issues.
I've had them say add a couple inches of dirt up against the house, up against this particular wall, and grade it away. And the homeowner does it, and it doesn't cost them but $100 of dirt, and that's
And it's just good common sense. We want to move water away from any structures.
Yeah, so you should do that anyway. Everybody should do that, whether or not you're VA or FHA or whatever, and whether or not the appraiser says so. It's a good idea. So, so you're looking for a house that meets those criteria and that meets value. That's important,
Right.
Because if you can't buy $100,000, you can't get a $100,000 mortgage in a house that's worth $95,000.
Correct.
So, anything else that veterans particularly look for specifically?
We're looking at, if you run down the list of criteria, access. Is it year-round, independent of your neighbor's property, and has enough space between buildings for the exterior upkeep? Property. Is it a single and marketable piece of real estate? With, obviously we've got these bullet points. Do you want to cover them all? Do we have time, or?
We can be pretty general on those
Okay.
because it gets really specific. I mean, their guides are really specific, like all of them, but generally what Rob's talking about with the property access and stuff, that's the appraiser's checking on all that. They're usually not a problem.
Right.
But all that other stuff with the dangers are definitely.
Right. So to touch on my role in this process, it's to try to vet and qualify these on the front end of it, so that we're not spinning tires and wasting anybody's time.
And money, right?
Yep.
Because if you get an appraisal and the house fails, the seller does not. This is a common misconception. If the appraiser on a VA loan or FHA or whatever says we have to have these 5 things repaired, that's a negotiation piece now. They don't have to do it. You have to do it to get your loan done, but they can say we're not doing it, and then the deal can fall apart. Do you guys have a clause in your contract that talks about certain repairs up to a certain amount that we kind of agree upon beforehand?
We have a clause in our contract which that can be added. Seller required repairs or buyer required repairs.
Up to like $500 or something
Yeah,
like that.
we determine what that amount is. That's a part of the contracting it and negotiating it. So
working with a professional like Rob, he might notice a couple things and say this might cost you $400. So when you make your offer, you can put that in the offer, right up front.
Correct.
Up to $400. He might actually list specifically seller to fix XYZ too.
Right, and we're going to do that. If there's anything that jumps out, obviously I'm not a home inspector, but I have enough experience in real estate and real estate development that I've got a good eye for what's going to be a flag.
Good.
Not.
So this is why it's important to work with someone who's dealt with VA loans before if you're a veteran, because and Rob is not just someone who's dealt with VA loans. He's a veteran, so that's pretty cool. That's a real good person to have on your side if you're a veteran looking for a home, and he's going to know what to look for and help you negotiate the best deal for you. We do have some a couple other points, and then we'll take some questions. Um, Inspectors. Rob mentioned there's inspections. You can get a home inspection. It's voluntary to do a regular home inspection if you want. It's a good idea. Rob would recommend it, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I recommend it, but I also am careful to say, I don't want to say the trite saying you get what you pay for, but in the state of Michigan, you could just say I'm a home inspector and put a business card out there and you're a home inspector. There's no licensing. You can go to some company that'll train you and they certify you, but their certification.
Right, it's a certification.
Yeah, like
there is no testing.
You
right.
could start a certification service tomorrow. You could certify me to be a home inspector. Neither one of those means anything. So it's experience, and Rob has a good list of home inspectors, so do I, that you could ask us who should I get a home inspection through, and we know people that we've basically vetted through experience and other things.
Absolutely.
So that's important. But also with the VA, there's 2 tests that we need for sure, and that's usually, there's always got to be done by a third party. Can't be done by Rob or you guys. That's specifically the water test for sure. We have to have a water test, and there's certain things that they require. VA's they're kind of generic on the way what they say needs to be tested. It's basically it has to meet the water purification requirements of the area, like the county you're in, and if not, then it has to meet the EPA standards. So we can handle letting everyone know what is needed, what exactly needs to be tested. The inspector usually calls us and say, what do we need to test for? Lead, coliform, stuff like that. And then there's one that actually is another tricky thing that people don't know about, the pest inspection. And that, we say pest, but we mean like wood-destroying insects, termites and stuff. However, even underwriters, like from underwriters I've worked with at my company, other loan officers, everyone thinks that 100% of the time on a VA loan you need a pest inspection. That's incorrect. So in the state of Michigan, they basically say above the frost line, those insects can't survive the winter. So Genesee County and north, you get to save 75 or $100 because you don't have to have one. So I've actually had to argue with an underwriter who said, no, we have to have pest inspection. And I said, no, we don't. We're in Genesee County,
Right.
And you go back and forth, and finally you just send them the guideline. Here it is. There's the list of counties that are excluded from that, and each state has their own list of counties. Anybody who needs that, just you can request it, and I'll get it to you. But basically, it's north-south kind of thing. So if you go south of us, though, you need one, right? Florida, everyone's south. You need one, but like parts of probably New York, Maine, Vermont, Minnesota, Wisconsin, there's probably areas that don't need them there. So, but Rob and I will talk through that on the front side. Do we need a pest inspection right up front? So we probably have some questions. Again, just like always, there's multiple feeds going here. So Zach's got to kind of bounce back and forth. You might not see questions on the one you're watching, but there are questions. So he's going to jump back and forth and shoot them over to us.
All right, here's the first question. It said, this person asks, can the seller pay for closing costs?
Yes, they can. That's up to Rob to negotiate with them for you, which he does really well.
Yep. We're going to look at your financial position. We're going to look at the parameters of the deal, and we're going to make a business decision, and we'll negotiate from a position of strength is what I'm aiming for.
So like our position is to tell you, what we tell you to do is you talk to Rob, you find a house, you want to put an offer in, you call us before Rob puts the offer in, we run the numbers and we say, okay, this is what you need to close. As Rob mentioned before, VA has a 1% origination, which means like underwriting, processing, all those fees that are normally there, it's 1% cap. So that's helpful. It makes it easier with the concessions too sometimes. But what we're going to do is give you those numbers. And so our job is just to tell you, here's the numbers. If you want to walk in with $0, you need to ask for this much concessions. But that doesn't always work. You might need to cut it in half and ask them to pay half. Rob's going to be negotiating, but his job is to find a number that makes the deal work. Right? So he might throw the full number out there and tell you we're going to get countered, but that's because he knows what he's talking about. So that's how we're going to work that. And as we talked before, the rule says 4% seller concessions. That's what we call it in the industry. However, VA terms it a little differently. Concessions to them is things that makes you want to purchase the house, like extras, like a builder says we'll throw in a fireplace for free, or if the seller's paying like prepaid things that you aren't paying now, it's like they're giving you money, like putting money into your escrow to pay for your future tax bills. Those things are counted as concessions, and there is a limit of 4%. And again, a lot of underwriters and other loan officers and companies think, oh, we only can do 4%. We only can do 4%. technically there's no cap per se,
Right.
because it's a 4%, but it's always going to fall. Almost always is going to fall under the 4%. The things that they categorize as a concession, and then closing costs like your 1% origination, your appraisal, those are separate and they're not capped. So
Right.
so FHA says we can do 6%. We just kind of go with that on the VA, 6% usually. But I mean, there is some flexibility there, so it's pretty cool that VA does that, and we know how to handle that for you. So what else we got, Zach?
Are condos eligible?
Yes, condos are out there quite a bit, aren't they?
Yeah, condos are out there. They are eligible. However, there is a stipulation. They have to be on an approved list. We have access to that information. We'll qualify the condo on the front end of the things.
Yep, we can look at the list, type in the name. What we have to have, and Rob gets for it, you don't have to really, unless you call Rob up and say, hey, I got this condo, can you just check it before we even look at it? What we need to know is the name of the condo subdivision. That's how we look it up. And the cool thing is, there's a bad and a cool and a good to this, right? So they look at site condos and call those condos officially have to be on the list as well. And site condos, for those of you who don't know, is basically it's a little builder's trick where condo rules are different, where you can have a smaller lot and put your house on, whereas if you go to make a subdivision of single family homes, they have to be bigger lots a lot of times. So builders will do these single lot or smaller lots, and it's a site condo because you own your site, unlike a regular condo. But VA says condo's a condo, you have to be approved. We can get any of them approved. We've approved a site condo subdivision this year just recently. It took 30 days, but we did it simultaneously to processing the loan itself.
Right.
And we can do connected condos that aren't approved. Obviously, not everything's going to get approved because there's rules, but if it's approvable and it's not approved, we'll go through that process and get it done. And we'll know pretty early on that before it gets sent out to VA, the girl back at our home office that works on this, she'll know this doesn't meet the criteria and she'll stop it,
Right.
so we're not wasting time. But that's pretty cool. Condos, I mean, there's a lot of condos out there. Great question, because
So
there's a lot.
yes, they are possible.
All right, next.
We've got the next question is, how much do we pay our realtor?
So you're talking about Rob takes them to find a house. How much do they pay you, Rob? Do they write a check to you, or how does that work?
I want to start with the statement that everybody's heard. It's cliche, but everything is negotiable to begin with. Typically, the seller of the property is going to pay my commission. So that's not going to come out of the buyer side of something, but everything is negotiable.
So, basically, he's saying you can negotiate some of those costs, but he's not getting paid you're not writing Rob a check.
You're not right.
The only check you're writing is the deposit when you put an offer in,
Yep.
right? Okay, cool. So, are there any? I mean, I think you mentioned just about every company has a fee, like the transaction fee, different things like that. In your
Compliance
company,
fee, and that
right.
covers administrative costs, etc. That's obviously going to be waived by me with veterans.
Nice.
It used to be, I believe it was illegal to charge that on the veteran loans. And FHA, they've made some changes at the beginning of the year. I don't have my finger on the pulse of that legislation, verbatim. But regardless, I'm waiving the $295
Awesome.
Compliance fee for any
So,
veterans that I work with.
if you're a veteran and you work with Rob, you just save $295 right off the bat.
We're winning already. We're winning already.
Definitely. You got no PMI and you save $295. I don't know what else. We actually have a lot of great, as we have good inspectors, we have a lot of great companies we work with to give you help to get the best insurance possible for you. So, I mean, I think working with us, you're going to just save money automatically, just on every step, pretty much. So,
A little biased there, but we're pretty good at what we do.
what else we got, Zach? Anybody else?
What is the minimum credit score?
Well, for us, it's 600. So the cool thing about us that Rob and I have discussed before is that we have credit repair services here. So it works a couple ways. We have some people that are close, and we can just give them a little game plan to get up to the right score. Pay this down, pay that down. And we know for a fact that it works. We have a little report that we can pull for you that tells you that additional to your credit report. But we also have a professional in-house service that does credit repair, like all the way, like getting stuff removed, stuff like that. So while not everyone qualifies, man, we don't like to say no, we like to say later,
Later,
so.
and that's, if you don't qualify, it's nothing to get upset about. What we're going to do is we're going to provide some pretty straightforward and quality counseling to try to compress timeframes to get you where you need to be.
And Rob might be able to point in a direction of what's best for me. Should I go rent a house? Should I rent an apartment? And you can throw some things out there, and he probably can give you an expert opinion on that while I wait to get my credit up and all that stuff. So perfect. Good question.
Next question, can I use my GI Bill or other veterans benefits to qualify?
So no and yes, and that is the GI Bill. When you're in school, they pay you for housing and schooling and different things. So basically, a lot of people just get a check in the mail from I think it's paid by the Veterans Administration.
It is paid by VA. Base allowance for housing if you're a full-time student. There might be some base allowance for substance. I can't remember. I haven't used it in a few years, but all that information we can readily grab.
Yeah, we can't use it to qualify. It's a great thing.
Right.
But I've had people where, like, you know, one of them's like the wife or the girlfriend's working and she's got income, she's on the loan, and she wants her boyfriend or husband to be on the loan and he's on the GI Bill. He gets $1,500 a month. Can't we use that? They don't allow that because in lending, generally you want to see that there's something that's going to last for 3 years at least, and there's no guarantee if you quit school tomorrow, the GI Bill goes away as far as I know. But just
Right.
It's VA's rule, not our rule, but they won't allow that. However, if you have VA benefit like retirement benefit,
Disabled veterans,
disability,
if you're a protected
yep,
class.
exactly, you can use that to qualify because that's a lifetime benefit typically.
It is.
So yeah, we can use that. Awesome.
Are there any other benefits for veterans with buying a home?
I think we talked about one was the disabled veterans with the property taxes.
Yeah, property taxes. We got to look at the percentage because I believe it's percentage based, whether you're 10, 15, 20, 100, whatever it is. I think 50 is the platform, but again, we'll research it case by case. But yeah, if you qualify and you have a certain percentage of disability rating, then you are exempt from property tax.
That is pretty cool too. We had someone that bought a house that way, and all he had to do, I mean, you pay, so the property tax is waived. You pay special assessments. So special assessments are like their garbage, which is usually like $120, $130 a year. And then there's a few different things that you'll see on there, like lights for the street lights, drain, and those are like $6, $8, $9 a year. So you might have a bill of your whole property tax bill isn't really taxed, but that whole bill is going to be $200 or less typically.
And it's essential services. Those
Yeah,
are
exactly.
services that are ongoing.
So that's definitely a positive to have that. Anything else, Zach?
We may need some clarification on this one, but it says, what is VA rep?
VA rep. The VA rep is the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. So it's a nationally syndicated 501 Charlie or 503 Charlie nonprofit established in 2011, and we're working on standing up the Mid-Michigan chapter right now.
Yeah, so it's a conglomerate of people fighting for veterans to help them get where they need to go. That was just the same thing that we did here. We had a veterans benefit workshop here where we talked about their burial benefits, their housing benefits, all kinds of stuff. And the vet rep even said, I don't want to say vet rep and confuse with this,
Right.
but the representative from the VA said, man, I could do this all day. There's so many people who don't know.
Right.
So that's what this program that he's getting involved in, it's mentioned to me about getting involved in, is all about. Getting the word out.
Hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'd be happy to go into greater detail.
Is that the last one?
That is all I see.
All right. Well, we are here to help you guys, and even non-veterans. I mean, we are not.
Yeah, it's
We're
not a bias here whatsoever. We're going to apply the same tenacity and business acumen to all clients.
And I've had veterans that had a different reason to not do a veterans loan, or they didn't qualify for a veterans loan, but they qualify for something else.
Investment properties, because they've
Yep.
already got the VA loan product
Exactly.
tied up.
So we definitely will help anybody who we can. Rob, what's the best way to reach you if someone has questions? Obviously, they could find you on Facebook at Robb Reese with 2 B's on the Rob, and they can message you. What else?
Phone number 810-853-5366. Email address hreese@aarealtors.net or harold.r.reese2@gmail.com.
All right, and us here at Epic Mortgage, you can call our office at 810-606-1075. You can always email me at jeff@myepicmortgage.com. All right, seems like that's it. This is good, Rob.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks, guys. Again, let all your veteran family and friends know, or anybody else that needs a house. We are here to help. Thank you. And now we got to shut down 3 lines, and we sit there awkwardly.